I died choking on my own blood in a cell block that smelled like bleach and regret. The guards' laughter echoing off the concrete walls as they turned away. My last thought wasn't of the trial, the lies, or the noose tightening around my neck in that godforsaken appeal hearing. It was Dad's voice at that final Thanksgiving. Sharp as a carving knife. "Madeline, you're 32 and still scribbling fairy tales like some college dropout. You're wasting your goddamn life." And then, the world snapped back like a rubber band stretched too far. My eyes flying open to the steam rising from a plate of turkey in my childhood kitchen. The year, 2019. 3 days before the holiday that would end me. Heart pounding like I'd just sprinted from death row. I bolted upright in the creaky wooden chair, the floral wallpaper blurring as I gasped for air that tasted like Mom's pumpkin pie instead of iron. My hands, younger, unscarred by the prison fights, gripped the edge of the Formica table. And there it was, the calendar on the fridge. November 24th. Bold red letters screaming the truth. I'd done it. Somehow. Impossibly. I'd clawed my way back from the void. Not as a ghost. Not in some ethereal bullshit revenge flick. But right here. In this split-level ranch house in suburban Chicago. Where the wind howled off Lake Michigan and dreams went to die under fluorescent lights. The hook lodged in my throat wasn't the noose this time. It was memory. Raw and jagged. In my first life, God. That sounded insane even in my head. I'd been the black sheep of the Harrington dynasty. The only daughter of Richard Harrington. Founder of Harrington Agritech. A Midwest empire built on corn syrup and corporate greed. Dad expected me to slot into the family machine. Law school. Board meetings. A loveless marriage to seal some merger. But I chased stories instead. Freelance writing gigs that paid in ramen and rejection slips. My brother, Ethan, the golden boy, lapped it up, Harvard MBA, VP at 18, always with that shark smile hiding the rot underneath. That Thanksgiving, it started like any other, the airport shuttle dumping me at O'Hare with a duffel bag and delusions of reconciliation. Mom fussed over the table settings, her pearls clinking like nervous ticks, while Ethan and his wife, Lauren, picture-perfect blonde with a yoga-tone vengeance, sipped Merlot and swapped inside jokes about the help. Dad carved the bird with surgical precision, his eyes on me the whole time, dissecting. "Pass the gravy. Maddie," he'd said, casual as a gut punch. Then, over pie. It dropped, "You're 32 and still scribbling fairy tales like some college dropout. You're wasting your goddamn life. When are you gonna grow up and contribute like your brother?" The room went still, forks hovering. I laughed it off, bitter, brittle, muttering about my novel in progress. The one agent who'd almost bitten. But Ethan's eyes gleamed. Lauren's hand on his knee, a silent high five. That night, after too much bourbon and tears in the guest room, I overheard them in the study, whispers about Dad's will. A final solution to the old man's stubbornness. Poison, they said. Untraceable. And me, the patsy. The writer with a grudge. The daughter who'd snapped under pressure. It played out like a bad Lifetime movie, but realer, uglier. Dad keeled over 2 days later. Mid-conversation about quarterly yields. Foam in his mouth like rabid ambition finally biting back. The talk screen? Clean. Thanks to Lauren's pharma connections, some off-books tweaked to antifreeze that mimicked a heart attack. Cops swarmed the house. And Ethan planted the seeds. My erratic behavior, the half-joking emails I'd sent Dad about cutting ties if he didn't support my dreams. They found the vial in my luggage, slipped there while I showered. Lauren's manicured claws all over it. Motive? Inheritance grudge. Means? My access is family. I screamed innocence from the stand, but juries in Cook County don't buy sob stories from 30-somethings with ink-stained fingers. 2 years in Logan Correctional. Fights for cigarettes. Nights plotting escape routes that ended in solitary. Then the appeal, botched by a public defender who smelled like stale coffee and defeat. Heart attack in the holding cell, they said. Overdose on smuggled pills, whispered the inmates. Truth? Ethan paid a guard to slip me the extras, tying up loose ends before the retrial exposed their paper trail.
Now.
Back in 19, pulse racing, I shoved away from the table, ignoring Mom's puzzled, "Maddie, you okay?" "Honey." My laptop hummed on the counter, the one with the unfinished manuscript. But I didn't touch it. First things first, evidence. In my old life, I'd been too broke, too trusting to dig. This time, I'd bury them before they buried me. I locked myself in the basement office, Dad's old den, stacked with agri-tech files and dusty law tomes, and fired up the ancient desktop. Password? Still Harvest 79, the year Ethan was born. Pathetic. Emails first. Ethan's private server. Accessed via a forgotten shared drive from our kid days. There it was. Buried in deleted folders. Correspondence with Lauren's cousin at a shady compounding pharmacy in Indiana. Quotes for custom anticoagulants. Dates lined up. Order placed October 15th. Delivery November 27th. My hands shook as I screenshot. Timestamped. Encrypted onto a thumb drive hidden in my boot. Next. The will. Dad's lawyer. Old Mr. Whitaker. Owed me nothing. But in this timeline, he was still alive. Still schmoozing at the Union League Club. I dialed from the landline. Voice steady as steel. "Mr. Whitaker. It's Maddie Harrington." Dad mentioned updating his estate, something about contingencies if Ethan's ambitions get too big. He chuckled, mistaking my edge for girlish worry.
Ah.
Yes. The clause. Your father's quite protective. Come by tomorrow, we'll review. By midnight. I'd mapped it. Ethan's offshore accounts. Funneled through Lauren's charity for inner-city farms, smoke screen for laundering kickbacks from bent EPA regs. Dad had suspected. Confided in me once over scotch. But I'd brushed it off as paranoia. Not this time. I texted my one ally from the old life, Sarah, the ex-cop turned PI, who'd believed me in prison visits but couldn't afford the pro bono dig. Need your eyes on some docs. Chicago. ASAP. Pays whatever I can scrape. Dawn broke gray over the lake. And I faced the mirror. Same hazel eyes. Same freckles. But the fire was new. No more doormat Maddie. This was war. Served cold with all the trimmings. Thanksgiving Eve. The house swelled with aunts, uncles, the whole Harrington circus. Mom's famous cornbread dressing simmered, masking the tension like cheap perfume. Ethan arrived fashionably late, Lauren on his arm in cashmere that screamed trophy, their toddler in tow as human shield. "Sis," he boomed, hugging too tight, breath mints hiding the scotch. "Heard you're still chasing that book deal. Dad's gonna love hearing about it." I smiled, teeth gritted.
Oh.
I am. But I've got some news too. Big ones. His brow twitched, first crack. Dad lumbered in from the garage, salt and pepper beard trimmed sharp, clapping my shoulder. "Maddie girl. Flight okay? His eyes searched mine, that old mix of pride and pity. In the old life, this was where it frayed. Not today. Dinner prep blurred into chaos. Uncle Ted pontificating on tariffs. Cousin Becca snapping selfies with the charcuterie. I slipped away to the study, thumb drive in pocket, syncing files to a burner cloud account.
Sarah texted, en route. Got a guy at the lab who owes me. Good.
The poison angle needed forensics, not just paper. By 6, the table groaned under platters, golden bird, green bean casserole bubbling like spite, pies cooling on the sill. We gathered. Grace mumbled, forks diving in. Dad at the head, carving with flair. To family, he toasted, eyes on me. And to second chances. Ethan chuckled. Hear that? Mads? Second chances. Maybe time to ditch the daydreams. Join the real world. There it was, the line. Word for word. My fork paused midair. Mashed potatoes steaming. The room hushed. All eyes on the prodigal screw-up. Mom fidgeted with her napkin. Lauren smirked behind her wine glass. In the old life, I'd flushed, stammered, excused myself to cry in the powder room. This time, I set down my fork, slow as a loaded chamber. Dad, I said, voice even, before we dig deeper, I've got something to say. About wasting lives. I reached under my chair, pre-planted folder, crisp manila from Kinko's that morning, and slid it across the linen. Photos first. Ethan and Lauren in a grainy motel still. Time-stamped last month. Her cousin's plates in the lot. Then the emails. Printed bold. Delivery confirmed. Discreet as always. $15,000 wired. Gasps rippled. Annie's hand flew to her mouth. Uncle Ted choked on his roll. Ethan's face drained white. Fork clattering. What the hell is this?
Maddie?
Some sick joke. Dad snatched the folder. Spectacles slipping as he scanned. Ethan? What anticoagulants? Richard. It's nothing. Lauren cut in.
Shrill.
She's unstable. You know how she gets. But Dad's eyes hardened, flipping pages. The will clause. In event of foul play by heirs. Assets to Madeline. Effective immediately. Whitaker had emailed it that afternoon, CC'd to the family lawyer. You little bitch, Ethan hissed. Low enough for only me. You think you can? I leaned in, smile sweet as pie. I know everything, brother. The laundering through the farm fund. The EPA bribes.
And yeah,
the poison you two brewed for Dad. But here's the twist. I'm not pressing charges. Not yet. The table erupted, Mom sobbing. Relatives shouting crosstalk. Dad slammed the folder shut. Voice thunder.
Out.
Both of you.
Now.
Ethan lunged. Chair scraping. But Uncle Ted, ex-Marine, built like a silo, hauled him back. Lauren scooped the kid, wailing about custody. Cops? Already en route, tipped by Sarah from the driveway. No drama. Just lights flashing blue-red through the curtains as squad cars pulled up. As they cuffed him, mirrored shades hiding Ethan's glare, I whispered, wasting my life.
Nah.
Saving yours was the waste. Dad pulled me aside in the foyer, shell-shocked.
Maddie. How?
When? Doesn't matter, I said, hugging him fierce. Second chances, right? But as the door clicked shut on their screams,
Doubt wormed in.
The old life whispered. What if Dad knew? What if he let it happen? The fallout hit like a Black Friday stampede. But I was the one trampling ghosts. By dawn, the house was a war zone of takeout coffee cups and whispered phone trees, relatives dialing lawyers, Mom popping Valium like candy corn. Dad holed up in the den, Whitaker on speaker dissecting the will like a fresh kill. It's ironclad. Richard. Ethan's frozen out, accounts. Shares. The works. Maddie inherits operational control. Pending board vote. I hovered in the doorway, nursing black coffee that tasted like victory laced with ash. Operational control? At 32. With a half-baked novel and a resume thinner than turkey gravy? In the old life, I'd have bolted, grabbed my duffel, hightailed to some dive bar in Wicker Park, drowning regrets in IPAs. This time, I stepped in. Dad, we need to move fast. Ethan's got friends, bored plants, maybe even cops on payroll. Sarah's digging. But we lock it down now. He looked up, eyes red-rimmed but sharp. You planned this? How long have you known? Long enough to die for it. Call it intuition. Writer's curse. I didn't tell him about the cell block visions, the nooses bite. That was my scar, hidden under sleeves. By noon, the board convened via Zoom, stuffy suits in oak-paneled offices, droning about fiduciary duty while I patched in from the kitchen, laptop propped on the butcher block. MS. Harrington, the chairwoman drawled. Some Vanderbilt blue blood with a chignon tighter than her ethics. Your brother's allegations are concerning. This reeks of familial vendetta. Vendetta? I fired back, channeling every true crime pod I'd binged in solitary. Try premeditated murder. Check the forensics. Sarah's got the lab prelims. Trace ricin in that anticoagulant batch. Matches the order Ethan signed for. Gasps digitized across the feed. I dropped the bomb. Screenshots of Ethan's slush fund. $2 mill siphoned to a Cayman shell via Lauren's NGO. Your VP wasn't innovating sustainable AG. He was bankrolling bribes to skirt pesticide regs. Dad's legacy? Poisoned from the inside. Silence. Then chaos. Motions tabled. Votes rushed. By 3. It was mine, CEO. Harrington Agritech. Effective yesterday. Dad beamed from the sidelines, pride cracking his stoic mask. Knew you had it in you, kid. But elation soured quick. Texts flooded. Ethan's lawyer. All bluster about defamation suits. Lauren's Instagram. Scrubbed but archived by Sarah. Posts geotagged at that motel. Kid's face blurred for privacy. The press sniffed blood. Harrington heir arrested in Turkey Day takedown. Sibling shocker or setup. Chicago Trib ran it front page. My photo pixelated from some book reading. Captioned, the scribe who wrote her brother's downfall. Controversy brewed overnight. Ethan's camp spun it hard. Poor golden boy framed by the jealous spinster sister. Quotes from anonymous sources painting me as unhinged. Bitter over Dad's favoritism. Fox affiliate aired a segment. Family feud or feminist revenge? With a pundit in a red tie sneering. Madeline Harrington, from dreamer to destroyer. Is this the new American family value? Twitter, X, whatever, exploded. Harrington betrayal trending. Memes of me as a vengeful witch stirring cauldrons of cranberry sauce. I ignored it. Burrowing into the corner office Dad kept for emergencies. Leather chairs. View of the loop's steel spires. First order, audit. Hired Sarah full-time. Plus a forensic accountant named Ruiz. Wiry Cuban with a nose for numbers like a bloodhound. By week's end, The rot spread wider than I feared, Ethan's tentacles in supply chains. Kickbacks from Monsanto rivals. Even a whistleblower file on Dad's desk, ignored. Dated 6 months back. Dad had known. Suspected. At least. Business is dirty. Maddie, he'd told me once. Off record. You stay clean. That's why you're not in it.
Clean?
I just torched the Empire to cauterize the wound. Board meeting 2. Suits squirming as Ruiz presented pie charts. Red slashes everywhere. Embezzlement totals $8.4 million, he deadpanned. And that's before the EPA probe. I stood, channeling boardroom sharks I'd only read about. We're divesting the dirty ops. Full transparency, open source audits, green certifications, no more shortcuts. Harrington 2.0 sustainable, or we sink. Pushback hit like whiplash. Old guard uncles, Ted included, cornered me post-meeting. You're gutting the company.
Girl.
Your father's blood. Sweat. Dad's alive because I did. I snapped. Ethan would have buried us all. They grumbled. But votes swung my way, fear of indictments trumping loyalty. Lauren, released on bail. Kid in tow. Filing for divorce and custody in family court. Her angle. Abusive marriage. Manipulated by brother-in-law. Sarah tailed her. Meetings with Ethan's attorney. Whispers of countersuits claiming I alienated affections. The real gut punch landed Christmas Eve.
Dad and I.
Snow blanketing the ranch. Shared eggnog by the fire. Proud of you, he said, clinking glasses. But Ethan's blood. Maddie. My failure. I stared into the flames. You knew, didn't you? The files. Why not act?
He sighed.
Deflating. Proof was thin. Thought I could reel him in. Legacy and all. American dream bullshit. Build it for your kids. Watch him burn it down. Tears tracked his cheeks. Almost lost you both. Not me, I whispered. Not again. But the lie tasted foul. In the old life, he'd testified against me, reluctant, but damning. Erratic, he'd called me. This timeline? Redemption arc. Or just delayed rot. New Year dawned with subpoenas. Ethan's trial loomed. Spring 20. Cook County Courthouse, a circus of cameras and carnies. I prepped like a prizefighter. Depositions. Character witnesses, Sarah. Ruiz. Even Becca, the cousin, who'd spilled on Lauren's pill habit. But doubt gnawed. What if the twist was bigger? Late-night dives into family archives, Grandpa's letters from the Dust Bowl. Dad's early patents unearthed it, a hidden clause. Pre-Ethan. Grandpa's original will. Agritech split 50-50 between lines. But Dad consolidated after a dispute with Uncle Jack, who vanished in '85.
Heart attack.
Official. Or ricin precursor. Sarah confirmed. Exhumed records. Faint traces in Jack's autopsy, dismissed as undiagnosed allergy.
Pattern.
Dad's eyes when I confronted him, not shock.
Guilt.
Water under the bridge. Maddie. For the company. Rage boiled. Old betrayal reborn. He'd played the game. Poisoned the well long before Ethan. My revenge? It wasn't just fratricide, it was patricide by proxy. February trial, gallery packed. Air thick with perfume and popcorn vendettas. Ethan in off-rack suit. Lauren testifying tear-streaked. He forced me. Maddie hated us. Lies. Shredded by Sarah's tapes. Motel pillow talk. She suspects nothing. Vials in her bag tomorrow. My turn on the stand, calm. Lethal. Thanksgiving 19. My brother didn't just carve turkey, he plotted to carve up our family. Here's the proof. Exhibits flew, emails, transfers, lab reports. Jury, blue-collar mix. Faces like weathered cornstalks nodded. Ethan's cross? You fabricated it all. Driven mad by Daddy's rejection, I met his glare. Rejection? Try revelation. You weren't the heir. Ethan. None of us were. Verdict. Guilty. 20 to life. Lauren. 5 years accessory. Plea deal. As marshals hauled him,
He spat.
you'll burn with us. Mads. Dad's next. Out in the hall. Flashbulbs popped. Reporters swarmed. MS. Harrington. Vindication or vendetta? I paused. Mic'd up. Justice. And a warning. Family ties cut deepest when they're rotten. But the call came that night, Dad. En route to the ER. Just a checkup, he wheezed over the line. I raced to Northwestern. Corridors blurring. Doctors. Irregular heartbeat. Traces of. Digitalis? Foxglove from the garden. Brewed strong.
Ethan's doing?
No, handwriting on the vial note. Dad's own scrawl. Suicide note? Or frame. He confessed in the sterile room. Monitors beeping dirge. Couldn't live with it. Maddie. Jack. The cover-up.
Now, Ethan.
Your mother's gone. Company's yours. And the cycle. Pills swallowed pre-hospital. Irreversible. I held his hand, cold as judgment. You wasted nothing.
Dad.
But you taught me. Second chances aren't free. He slipped away at 2:17 a.m. Monitors flatlining to silence. Funeral. Media circus. Eulogies from suits I'd fire by summer. I stood graveside. Wind whipping black veil. Whispering to the oak box. Tables turned. Your move. Spring thawed Chicago's grip. But mine stayed frozen, fist clenched around Agritech's reins. Steering through scandals like a freighter in fog. Dad's death? Ruled suicide. But whispers lingered, guilt from the Harrington curse. Headlines crowed. I let them. Better a tragic patriarch than a serial enabler. Board stabilized under my boot. Ruiz as CFO. Sarah heading security. Green initiatives rolling out solar silos. Organic pivots that turned red ink black by Q3. But revenge's aftertaste soured everything. Nights blurred into whiskey shots and what-ifs. My novel gathering dust. Ethan rotted in Stateville. Lauren in a minimum security spa for soccer moms. Their kid, little Riley, fostered out to Ted's clan. I visited once. Through plexi. His tiny face pressed to glass. Auntie Mads. Heartbreaker. But trust? Shattered like the family china from that Thanksgiving brawl. Controversy clung like humidity. Women's mags hailed me. Madeline Harrington, the avenging heiress redefining power. Pundits on MSNBC dissected. Patriarchy's poison, how one woman dismantled a dynasty. But the right-wing echo chamber? Feminazi takeover, sibling slaughter for soy profits. Protests at the gates, farmers in seed caps waving pitchforks. Chanting, Harrington hates heritage. I faced them head-on, megaphone in hand. Heritage?
Try theft.
We're paying reparations, $5 million to Dust Bowl descendants. Starting with Uncle Jack's line. Gasps. Then claps. Twist revealed. Jack had kids. Hidden in Gary, Indiana. DNA test confirmed. I wrote the check personally. The real storm brewed internal. Summer board retreat. Lake Geneva yacht. Champagne flutes clinking like handcuffs. The Vanderbilt chairwoman cornered me on deck. Spray misting her pearls. Bold moves.
Maddie.
But whispers say you're unstable. Your father's suicide. Ethan's railroading. Investors get jittery. I swirled my seltzer. Eyes on the wake. Jittery? Good. Means they're paying attention. Next quarter. Fold a vest from Legacy Chems. We're going carbon neutral. Or I walk and take the whistleblower files with me. Bluff. Half. Sarah uncovered more. Dad's 80s cover-up extended to falsified trials. Poisoned wells in rural townships. Class actions loomed, but so did redemption funds reallocated to cleanups. Scholarships for AG kids. She backed off, but the seed sprouted. Anonymous leaks, my erratic emails to Dad, dredged from servers, twisted out of context, painting me as the unhinged one. Ethan's doing. From prison script. I countered with a tell-all op-ed in the Trib, blood on the balance sheet, a daughter's reckoning.
Raw.
Unfiltered. The betrayal. The rebirth, veiled as epiphany. Dad's sins. Sales spiked, book agents called. My novel? Revived. Laced with truth, fiction no more. Fall harvest brought the twist I never saw coming. October. Pre-election frenzy. A knock at the ranch door, FBI badge. Crisp as autumn leaves. Agent Reyes. Latina with eyes like radar. MS. Harrington. New evidence in the Ethan case. Care to explain this? Files slid across. Wire transfers from my post-takeover accounts, $200K to a Cayman drop. Routed through Lauren's old NGO. My stomach dropped. Impossible. Audits. Clean on surface, she said, unflinching. But digital trail leads back. Setup or escalation? Escalation. The boardroom rats, Vanderbilt and her cronies, flipped, spooked by my reform's bleeding short-term profits. They'd hacked the systems, planted the bait, tipped Ethan for the leak. Checkmate? Almost. I called Sarah, full sweep. And Ruiz, double-checked the ledgers. By Halloween, it cracked. Vanderbilt's emails. Sloppy delete. Begging Ethan for dirt in exchange for commissary cash. I went nuclear, emergency board ouster. SEC filings exposing the cabal. Headlines flipped. Harrington heiress foils corporate coup again. Protests turned parades. Farmers toured the new green fields. Kids planting seeds where toxins once leached. But the deepest cut? Riley's custody hearing. November chill seeping through the courthouse marble. Lauren, gaunt in orange scrubs, pleaded maternal rights. Maddie's poison, literally. She destroyed us.
Judge.
A grizzled vet with dad vibes. Eyed me. MS. Harrington. You've built an empire from ashes. But family? I testified. Voice cracking for the first time, I lost mine twice. Once to greed, once to ghosts. Riley? She's the clean slate. Let her choose. Psych eval cleared me. Lauren's record tanked her. Gavel fell. Guardianship to me. With Ted's oversight. That night, her tiny hand in mine, we carved pumpkins, lantern grins, mocking the skeletons I'd buried. Thanksgiving 20. The table reborn. Smaller circle. Ted at head. Carving steady, Mom. Fragile but smiling. Sarah. Awkward in pearls. Ruiz cracking dad jokes. Riley giggling over mac and cheese. No dad. No Ethan, just us. Survivors stitching scars into quilts. Toast raised. To turning tables, I said. Glasses chimed. But as pie steamed, Riley tugged my sleeve. Auntie Mads. Tell a story? The one about the girl who came back. I froze. Fork midair.
How?
A bedtime yarn. Innocent. Or echoes of truth bleeding through. Once, I started. Voice low. There was a writer who died wrong. Betrayed by blood. Choked on lies. But she woke up, sharp as a knife, and carved her own path. Not easy twists, turns, tables flipped so hard they shattered. She lost kings, built queens.
And, in the end?
She chose grace over grudge. Riley beamed. Happy ending? I glanced at the empty chair, Dad's ghost. Perhaps nodding. The best kind. Messy. Real. American as pie. Outside. Snow dusted the lawn. Lake winds whispering second acts. I'd wasted nothing. Life, it was mine now, Inc. Empire. Echoes. And damn if it didn't taste like triumph.